The country on one list when it comes to the best cities for women in terms of education.
Nearly 99% of women in Overland Park have at least a high school diploma.
Yeah, Overland Park, by the way, also ranked one of the safest cities in the U.S. for women.
Well, speaking of, there's a fitness app. We were talking about it earlier, and it may be too smart for its own good. Strava, it's an app that allows users to share their running routes. We'll take a look, though, at what's happening. Users have shared routes, sometimes on secret military bases. Yeah, in Afghanistan, it's actually caused military bases to be clearly identifiable and mappable. A spokeswoman for the Pentagon says that the Department of Defense is now looking into what's happening.
We've got a safety alert after several people have been struck by cars in Kansas City over the weekend. This morning, some of those drivers are still on the run. We'll tell you who police are looking for.
Family escapes an overnight fire in Leawood. I'm at the first alert desk with what woke them up so they could get out as the search for a cause continues at 6:26.
First at 6:30 on KNBC 9 First News.
Kansas City, Missouri police investigating after 3 pedestrians were hit and killed over the weekend. We've got details on those investigations on First News.
You can start filing your taxes as of today, but what about all this talk of tax cuts and tax reform? Well, it may have an impact on you this year. We have the questions you need to ask.
And the hidden cost of keeping the roads clear. The new warning today about the impact of all that road salt.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us for First News, 6:30 on your Monday. I'm Cody Holyoke.
Good morning. Happy Monday. I'm Donna Pippin. Slick roads should not be an issue. Making sure you have your coat definitely will be.
These wind chill values. I mean, 1 in Lee Summit, 1 in Olathe, 3 downtown, and 8 in Overland Park. and I just stepped outside. It is definitely colder than what it was when I got in at 2:30 this morning. 3 in Excelsior Springs, the Goose Egg in Parkville and Gladstone, St. Joseph and Lawrence, you're all at 0. 1 is what it feels like in Paola and in Stillwell. So that big coat, heavy gloves, and the scarf. Anytime you got that wind, a scarf is always a welcomed accessory. Wind chill values remaining in the teens through noon. They'll come up into the 20s this afternoon. But Rachel will barely make it to 32 degrees. It does get warmer for tomorrow.
All right, well, at least we got some good news there. Checking in on your First Alert traffic. Taking a look at I-35 near Front Street. See, this is northbound heading towards us and southbound heading towards downtown, going away from us very, very slowly. Trying to take a look at some of the cameras around there. Haven't been able to find what's really causing this big slowdown, but 35 southbound there at Front Street, really slow going. About 20 minutes K10 and K7 to downtown right now. 35 northbound from Shawnee Mission Parkway to downtown looks great, and then 11 minutes 71 northbound from the Triangle up to the Paseo. Let's head outside with News Chopper 9's Johnny Rollins.
All right, thanks, Rachel. Taking a look inbound from the Northland right now. I-29, top of the screen there, those lights along the horizon, KCI. And southbound I-29 coming on past Northwest 64th Street. Looks kind of bunched up there, but then once you make that dog leg, you can see plenty of space between the cars. So we're not seeing any real heavy traffic through here yet. Prevailing speed right up there, all the way down here to 635. So not a big deal from the Northland so far on I-29. We're flying down to I-35 and Front Street, see if we can figure out what's going on down there for you in a couple of minutes. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, back to you in the studio.
All right, Johnny, we'll check in a bit. Thanks. Kansas City police this morning are on the case after 3 pedestrians. 3 were hit and killed over the weekend in separate cases. Let's go to KMBC 9's Matt Evans live this morning with what investigators are trying to find out here. Matt.
Of those 3 pedestrians hit and killed, 2 of them are hit-and-run cases that Kansas City, Missouri police are still looking for suspects in. We'll take a look at where all 3 of these cases happened over the weekend. On Friday night is when police were called to 71 Highway and Gregory. That's where 25-year-old Jaira Hill was hit and killed as she was trying to cross 71. Witnesses tell police that a 2012 to 2015 model Chevy Equinox hit her. It's either dark blue or black in color. Police still looking for that suspect vehicle. Then at the 37th and Prospect yesterday, police investigated another hit and run. They found a man in the middle of Prospect, but no cars around. That man died at the hospital. Police also looking for a suspect in that case, but don't have a whole lot of information to go on right now. Police also investigated after a pedestrian was hit and killed near 435 and Grandview Road near the Grandview Triangle. Now, in this case, though, the driver did stop and talk to police. Police don't suspect foul play in this. That driver says that pedestrian just came out of nowhere. Reporting live this morning, Matt Evans, KMBC 9 News.
Matt, thanks. If you know anything that could help police in any of these cases, please call the TIPS hotline, 474-TIPS.
At 6:33, we're following breaking news out of Leawood. A family forced out of its home because of a fire overnight. Emily Welsh has more from the First Alert desk.
A family of 4 was able to get out safely after the father said that loud popping noises woke him up in the middle of the night. Take a look at this video. We were there as those crews were fighting the fire and putting out hot spots. You see smoke coming from the garage. This is on West 123rd Terrace. It's in a neighborhood right between State Line and Mission Road. Crews at the scene tell us that the fire started around 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's when the dad says he woke up and then he saw a haze of smoke inside the house. He was able to get everyone out of bed, rushed his family out of the house, and when they got outside, they saw flames engulfing that garage, and you can see the firefighters were able to keep it contained mostly just to the garage area. It did get up into the attic above the garage as well. We know 2 cars were damaged, but the house is going to be okay. It is salvageable. They're just going to need to fix up that garage. So the family's staying at a neighbor's house for now while the work begins to pinpoint the cause of that fire. Donna.
All right, Emily, thank you. Well, President Trump is back from Davos, Switzerland, facing a critical week ahead with immigration negotiations, also his very first State of the Union address. ABC's Serena Marshall has more now from Washington.
Good morning. We expect the president to talk bipartisanship and offer a unifying tone at his first State of the Union address. But will it push the 2 parties together on immigration as the investigation into Russia's interference in the U.S. election looms?
President Trump back in Washington. Now the Washington Post reports Mr. Trump recently considered firing his Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, the man who appointed the special counsel. Lawmakers are divided on whether more protections are needed for the investigation.
It probably wouldn't hurt for us to pass one of those bills.
I don't think there's a need for legislation right now to protect Mueller.
In his first international TV interview, recorded while in Davos, former Celebrity Apprentice winner and British journalist Piers Morgan and Mr. Trump discussing a range of issues.
A lot of the global economy, Piers, is because of how well we're doing.
One of the topics expected to be included as he addresses Congress and the American people on Tuesday, also focusing on infrastructure and immigration.
Yeah, nice. Now, as all the pressure builds, the pressure is continuing to build on the RNC and the president to address accusations of sexual misconduct by a Republican mega donor. We have more on that coming up in a few minutes.
New overnight, a fire breaks out at a home in Kansas City, Missouri. Firefighters went to this home. This is near 62nd and Swamp, just after 10 o'clock last night. We're pressing the fire department this morning to see if anyone was hurt and to figure out exactly what sparked the flames. We'll let you know. Police in Kansas City, Missouri are now asking for tips to help them solve 2 murders from over the weekend. In the first case, one person was shot and killed yesterday near 16th and Elmwood. Another person also hurt and is now in stable condition at the hospital this morning. Police have yet to release any suspect description. We're working on that. Just hours earlier, another person was shot and killed near Truman and Grand near downtown. His name has not been released. If you know anything about either case, pick up the phone. Please call the TIPS hotline.
Well, this is just heartbreaking. Families rebuilding after Hurricane Harvey were dealt a serious blow. Setback over the weekend. Heavy rains leading to flooding. More than a foot of rain fell in some areas. You can see water standing inside and obviously outside of the homes there. And earlier, Nick, we heard from the man whose friends had just been able to move back into their house after Harvey, and now this.
And he was emotional, but you know, rightfully so. I mean, this time of the year, you just don't see that kind of stuff. Wind chill values, single digits this morning. We have seen a lot of that this winter season in Kansas City. So near zero wind chills at the bus stop for the kids. Make sure they have on the heavy gloves, the scarf. Barely above freezing this afternoon, so it's going to stay cold through this evening. Wind chill value near 20 degrees at 8 o'clock. A clear sky overnight. Stronger wind for tomorrow and a higher fire danger. We'll talk more about that coming up. Let's go to News Chopper 9's Johnny Rollins.
All right, thanks, Nick. A couple of minutes ago, Rachel was talking about the I-35 run from the Northland really jamming up. Take a look from the upper left across the Bond Bridge and past Front Street down to Paseo and into the northeast corner. Very, very slow, and here is the culprit. Looks like a couple of cars got together here. This is kind of unusual. No lanes blocked, but, well, wait a minute. Maybe we do have something going on. A couple of things. All right, there are 2 cars there. Another car off to the right side. 2 more cars. All right, there we go. And with all that activity and debris in the middle of the road. Now we have the whole story here, and so folks are having to move out of that center lane off to the right side, then onto the shoulder, and then back onto those lanes of traffic because of the cars there on the shoulder as well. So, yep, there is looks like a tow truck, maybe motorist assist showing up on the scene. Hopefully they're going to move this stuff out of the way off the highway, and with that then we will get that lane back open, and hopefully it will ease this big backup we have that is only growing now all the way back to Armour 210. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, back to you in the studio.
All right, Johnny, I'm glad you found that because that was really, really slowing us down. 35 southbound right here headed towards that northeast corner of the downtown loop. Hopefully that will start to improve. Also want to let you know about some road work happening on 70 westbound right here. This is a 2-year closure that's starting on February 2nd at 10 o'clock at night from Broadway Boulevard right here on 70 as you head towards Kansas City, Kansas right there. The detour is going to be 670 westbound or even 35 southbound right there. Again, we'll see that on Friday starting at 10 o'clock. 29 southbound Berry Road to downtown, slow going 16 minutes, 20 minutes 35 northbound from Olathe, and then 70 inbound right on time, still at 16 minutes out of Blue Springs. Cody.
All right, Rachel, thanks for keeping an eye on that. All right, so it's the end of January, right? It's the end of the month. Your W-2s probably arrived in your mailbox if you haven't printed them off at work already.
No matter what, it is time to do those taxes. KABC 9's Martin Augustine is live this morning, maybe making it a little bit easier for us. Martin, today, the first day that we can file those returns.
That's right. First day, you can start electronically filing your federal return. We had a couple questions, though, for Andy Phillips here of H&R Block. We're in the H&R Block Tax Preparation Office downtown. So there was a lot of talk, Andy, at the end of last year with the tax cut legislation, tax reform. Does that have an impact on the taxes that we're filing this time around?
Yeah, so for the vast majority of those provisions, they don't go into effect until 2018, which means